All right, hey, hello everybody. I thought that I would show you some of how I mix my glazes. So if we walk over here to where my glaze buckets are here, oh, I should have cleaned this up before I showed everyone. But here's how I keep my glazes for the most part. I have large buckets for dipping, and then I have some smaller buckets here of other glazes, and I need to use the big tub if I ever need to dip and do it. But my red, which is popular, I use it a lot, you'll see it's almost empty. I just have a few inches on the bottom there. So I'm going to need to mix up some more red. So here I am over here in my glaze mixing station. I've got a light so I can see my triple beam balance well. And I've got a stand set up over there. And what I do is I write my recipe up here on the, here's my red, the recipe for red. And then as I put each thing in, I didn't erase it since the last time I made red, so it's all still on there. I'm just going to mix the same batch, seem to work well. And here's my red color in a bowl that I made recently, just so you can kind of see what that looks like. I'm probably not the cleanest potter in the world, but I plan it all out. I've got my triple B balance, I have all my materials. Here's a bucket of silica, calcium carbonate, and I have all my oxides and EPK there and everything here, so I can just quickly get it. So I get it all prepared, and then I go to mixing. So here, let me put that in there, see if it's in the frame okay. Yeah. So when you're mixing glazes, you got to make sure you have a dust mask, because you don't want to inhale this stuff because it can cause black lung or something. So you can get away with something like this if you wanted to, and I have a few of these around because sometimes I mix glazes and somebody's here, and so I say, hey, you should put this on. And it works probably fine. But they do get beat up pretty fast, and so I have gone to this system here, and it works well, I guess. So I don't think you'll be able to hear me great. Maybe, I guess I'll check, but I'll take it off for a second. And so I've already measured all of my feldspar. I use Custer feldspar for this recipe. And here is 4820 in grams, 4,820 grams. I've put in 4,000 already, that's 820, and so what I'll do is I'll put that in the bucket. Once the full amount is in there, I'll mark it off my list, and so I'll go like this. I'll grab my feldspar and I'll dunk it in there. And I also use a paintbrush. I don't normally do this with all of my glazes, but I use a little paintbrush to wash the oxides, brush them out of the little bowl so that they're in there, so that I don't leave residue for the next thing. So there you go. I'm done with my Custer. So I'll take a thing and I'll mark it off. So now I know I'm done with that. Next is calcium carb, 1360. So I'll measure that onto my thing. I'll go 1360. So this is 1,000 grams, 13. 50, 60. So 1360. Now I'm prepared to do it, and I'll do that now. So it's calcium carb. This is this bucket. And I'll measure this out. 1360. So then I have silica, and that is 1550, so I put 1550 on, I'll do that. So I have my last ingredient, which is copper. I have it right here. It's 80 grams in there, as you can see. I'll add that to my bucket down here. And then my last ingredient, I'll put it back out of my work area. Then the next thing is mixing. So I should keep this on because this mixing does create a lot of dust. So I have a clean spatula that I use for mixing. Let me make sure I'm in the frame here. Okay, let's go in here. Let's see. Okay. So I'm leaving this on because this can create a lot of dust. So there's no water in this. There's no water. It's all just dry ingredients. And people call it, whatever, pre-mixing or dry mixing. But it helps later on in even distribution of the oxides within all the other materials, so that when you're doing your wet mix, it mixes together a little easier. So now it's time for putting in the water, and I have a sink right next to where I mix. So I will move some stuff over, move my bucket in, move that in nice and close, and then begin adding water. Now, I shouldn't have any more dust, so I can put my mass back where it's supposed to go. So here's a good tip when you're mixing glazes. You add your water and then you let it sit, and add less water than you think you're going to need. In this case, I just guess really, and I let it sit here. And really, I'll let it sit here for 30 minutes, maybe an hour. And I don't know what the term for it is, if it's slaking or something. I call it bubbling, because if you look in here, it's bubbling. It's just the air that's trapped within the material is coming up. And so I'm going to let that sit there and bubble and bubble and bubble. And then after a little while, I'll give it a little mix and see where we are, add more water probably, and then get it to the right consistency. Alright, so I got, I don't know what it's been, an hour, about an hour. I hit it with a mixer, this Jiffy mixer. See, it's still pretty clumpy, you can see, because I haven't mixed it much, I've just mixed it a little bit. And since I had all my glaze mixing stuff out, I went and checked, and I was a little low on white, not too low, so you can see here I've mixed a thing of white, which I will follow the same process. I'll dry mix it and then put a bunch of water in it, let it bubble, and then wait an hour, and then I'll Jiffy mix it. But this is the red that we just we mixed earlier. And it's thick. And I like to mix my glaze and a little thicker, because you can always add more water later. So actually I think it's going to need more water. So I'm just going to do a little bit of water, not a whole lot, a little bit more, because it'll help get it through the sieve. So you center up your bucket. So this is the little bit of red that I had before. It's down in there, and I'm going to sieve my red I just mixed into it. Okay. So some of you probably watch SImon Leach's videos, and I'd like to take credit for how clever this is, but really this is Simon's invention, or I think it's his invention. So I've got my mesh in my bucket there of my red, and I've got it on a wheel, and then what I do is I put my glaze in like this. Here's my glaze we just mixed, and so I will fill up the sieve. And then I will take this Scrubby brush. This is just you'd wash your dishes with. And I turn on and I just sieve it through. I just kind of go back and forth and let the wheel do the work. Like I said, if you've watched Simon's videos, you've seen him do this before. And I tried it for the first time, I don't know, 6 months ago or so. I think maybe about 6 months ago. And worked pretty good. So if anyone has ever taken and tried to work their stuff through a 60 mesh sieve, you know how long it can take. There was quite a bit of glaze in this, and what did it take us, a minute or something to get almost through it, and almost no effort at all because I am just standing here. So there you go. Alright, so I've taken my bucket and mixed it a bit, got some of the chunks off, and then I am going to mix this again. Oh, whoa, I got lucky there, huh? Doesn't need to go too fast, you don't want to get too crazy with it, but now I've got the rest of my glaze bucket, so I'll use my brush again, and if there's any chunks, I'll get it off the sides. So that bucket's pretty clean. There's not really anything in it. That's what you want, because you don't want your recipe to be off. You know, some materials like the custard feldspar, if I leave a few grams in the bucket, no biggie. But if I left a big chunk of copper that didn't mix in well, or if I had a big chunk of zinc or something, or a big ball of bentonite that didn't mix, then that could throw my recipe way off. So I just make sure that there's no big chunks or anything left in the bucket. So this is the first sieving, so I usually do this twice. There we go. Anyway, so that's how I mix my glazes. You can see some of my other videos and make comments. I love it when you make comments. If you can make more comments or ask me a question, that'd be fine. What am I working on lately? I made some of these little, well, this is a medium size bowl, and I recently stopped scratching my name in the bottom of pots. I made a small stamp or seal with a little play on my initials, BR, Brian Reed, and I've been stamping them into my pot. So here's a bowl I trimmed earlier today, and I don't know if you could see that, but there, right there, I have a stamp. Let me see, can you see that in the... Yeah, maybe you can. Anyway, rather than scratching my name in the bottom, which is fine, but I thought that looks really nice. So I'm going to continue to do that. Just like I did with these little olive oil jars. I put my seal right there. See that? So anyway, don't be afraid of mixing your own glaze. I'm a beginner. I mixed my first glaze about 2 years ago. I just used other people's glazes or whatever. So don't be intimidated by it. Take your recipes, try them out, make some stilts. Go look at John Britt's video on how to do line testing, and just have a go. Well, thanks a lot, folks. We will talk to you later.